meeting to order. And at the moment, we don't have any, we've got a full complement of regular members, so we don't need to appoint any alternates.
Okay.
And first order of business then will be the public hearing. We have 4 tonight, which I think is the maximum that we should ever have.
Okay.
Just a note. So Earl, if you would read the legal notice.
Can I read the legal notice for all 4 at once?
Go ahead and read the legal notice for all 4.
Woodstock Historic District Commission will have a public hearing on April 28th, 2021, 6:30 p.m. for Geodis 49 Old Hall Road, resurface of the driveway. Heitart 36 Old Hall Road, an outbuilding. Lane 30 Child Hill Road, windows. And Lassard 528 Route 169, steps and the porch skirt. Okay.
All right. And in terms of the agenda that was filed for this meeting, Heitart Forest are up first. So what we will be doing, and I'm just going to go over the rules for our public hearing. I will call the public hearing to order. Earl has read the notice. Then we just ask one person to speak at a time, state your name and address, and the same will initially go for any of us. It should go for anybody who is speaking. The first time, please state your name and address. And those of us who are Historic District Commission members should so identify. Then the applicant will provide a detailed description with their plans. And if they have visuals, then please, if you're able to share the screen to share with us. Commissioners will then ask questions. We will then call for any supporting comments from the public. Commissioners then have the right to question those who are providing comments. There will be an opportunity next for opposition comments, letters or notes that have been filed. Commissioners will then ask questions, and the applicant may speak again, addressing anything that has gone before. The opposition has one final opportunity to comment. And at that point, then the commission members will make a determination on whether or not to close the public hearing and go into deliberation, or to continue the public hearing to the next meeting. So with that being said, I am Gail Usher, Chair of the Woodstock Historic District Commission, and the first of the agenda items for the public hearing is Heitart Forest 36 Old Hall Road for an outbuilding. And if you would just, one of you go ahead and explain what you'd like to do. And if you are able to, and can put up any, let's see, I think you sent an aerial overview for placement as well as a basic diagram of the shed. Do that. I have it also that I probably can share if you can't do it.
So we're sharing our screen now with the 2 visuals that you just referenced, Gail. This is Daniel Forest at 36 Old Hall Road. We're proposing to install a 8-foot by 12-foot shed at the rear of the property on the north and eastern side of the backyard. For that, the intent is to use this for storage of gas-powered equipment, our lawnmower, other materials that are not suitably stored in our basement. We currently have no outdoor storage in the property, and we're hoping to be able to segregate some of the equipment for lawn care within the shed itself. We proposed putting the shed in a location that is at least partially screened by existing vegetation. So we're not anticipating a significant visual change from the public right-of-way along Old Hall Road. There are a series of 3 small yew trees that are lined up along the street side in the general vicinity that will screen views from pedestrians or vehicles traveling Old Hall Road. And then views from other portions will be largely obscured by the house itself, which is a fairly extensive road frontage. The house is set fairly close to the road, so most of the rear of our property is already visually screened. The building itself is proposed to have a single pitch roof, simple roof structure, with the exterior clad in solid pine horizontal board for a traditional look. The door would be facing to the rear of our property, away from Old Hall Road, and would be hung on a simple sliding mechanism. There are a total of 3 windows proposed for natural light within the building, and we're not proposing to provide electrical or water supply to the shed itself. It's a simple freestanding structure.
Does the drawing that you have, is that accurately depict your proposed shed?
So thank you for asking, Gail. The one thing that I would note that is incorrect on that drawing, the window elevation on the primary facade with the door, the upper sash would align with the window on the side elevation. So the way it is drawn on this particular drawing is offset. They would actually be set to the same vertical plane when the shed is constructed.
Kristen, is it possible to scroll down so we can see the drawing?
Hold on one second. We're just having a little challenge with the screen share.
There's some over here. So.
Do you see any of our screens currently?
We see the aerial view.
Overall, the view of the.
Oh, you're seeing the aerial and not. Okay, hold on one moment. Okay, can you see the drawing now?
No. No, we don't have your screen.
Okay, it is telling us we are currently sharing that screen. Hold on one moment.
Here it comes. All right, there we are.
Okay.
It came up. Is that the color it's going to be too?
We are intending to paint it a pale gray to match the existing exterior color of the house itself.
Okay.
And the roof is shingled with what?
The roof would be, I believe we've proposed steel roofing for it, likely a black color. So a simple, not a formal raised seam roof, but there are rolled steel roofing panels with small vertical ridges that project approximately 3/4 of an inch above the field of the roofing panel itself.
And just so everybody is, let's see, so we have the right orientation. The figure that is standing at the rear corner of the shed, the drawing of the person's back would be toward Old Hall Road,
That's
correct?
Correct, right. So the door would be facing the rear of our property.
Right.
And the orientation of the building is intended to align with there's a large planting bed that occupies roughly the center of the property that has an irregular curved margin on it. So the intent is to tuck the shed into the margins of that bed so that the primary elevation facing towards the rear would be at a slight angle to the body of the house itself.
Commission members, questions?
Not me, I got a handle on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very well described.
Very good.
I just have one. How far is it from from the road, would you say, or from your house?
It is approximately mid-distance between the front of our lot and the rear of our lot, Gail, and I don't have a scale drawing other than the aerial that we provided. So I don't want to misquote that number.
Okay.
Yeah, the aerial showed it clearly to be about halfway back.
Right. Right, let's see.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
maybe a little more than half, actually.
Yeah, it's actually about 2/3 of the way back from Old Hall Road on our lot.
And I apologize, the scale in miles is perhaps not the best choice for the aerial we provided.
Can you pinpoint on the aerial where the shed will be?
It's the, Harold, it is the blue rectangle. You can see, I don't know if you can see it within our property boundary.
Yep, I see it now. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
All right. Any other questions, commission members at this time?
Looks good to me.
No,
All right, then I will call for any community, let's see, public supporting comments. Hearing none. Let's see, I don't see anything. All right. And any comments in opposition to this? I can't, at this point, with the screen being shared, I don't see everybody, so
Oh, okay.
Would you like us to stop the screen share?
that works. So if somebody has a comment to make, I think physically raising your hand is pretty much the easiest way. All right, hearing none, then it is any additional questions, commission members?
I
no
have no-
questions.
Tim?
Yes, he said the roof would be steel.
That's correct.
Would you be willing to roof it in a different material?
I think we would consider that if the steel panels we're proposing are a concern. The intent for the roofing that we have is obviously to have something durable here, but also something that matches the generally utilitarian nature of the building without detracting or having something overly modern in appearance. And the black roofing panels themselves are don't anticipate to be a prominent feature or catch the eye to individuals who are passing.
Dan and Kristen, what's the finish on those panels? Are they gloss or matte?
It is sort of a semi-gloss finish. It's not a high sheen for it. And after those panels have been installed for a couple of years, they take on a fairly dull appearance.
This is Earl. From the picture of the shed, it didn't appear to me that you see the roof.
It was a selection for the particular angle that we represented here. So Earl, because the pitch of the roof is away from the oblique view that we provided, it's not easy to see that specific finish.
I'm happy with it.
Right. Any further? Are there any further questions or public comments? If not, commission members, are we ready to close the public hearing?
Yes.
Sure.
I so move or I second.
So Harold's made a motion to close the public hearing. Do I
Second.
hear
Earl,
second, Earl?
Yep.
All in favor?
aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining? All right. So then, thank you very much for your presentation, and commission members, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm fine with it as presented. I understand where Tim's coming from, except it seems like there's very little visibility of the roof. So if a steel roof works for them, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I drove by the property this afternoon and it's pretty hard to see most of the backyard from the street. And I wouldn't have any problem with citing it where they're proposing to do it.
Harold or Tim?
I think it's a good proposal myself.
I don't mind the proposal. I just think that several other people have brought up this type of roofing before, and the Historic District Commission has historically, rejected that type of roofing. And maybe it's not visible enough to set a precedent. That's something we have to think about.
So it certainly is a reasonable comment. Two responses to that is, one, that any of the metal roofs that have been proposed in the past have been for the main house,
Yeah, right.
replacing either a wood shingled roof or an asphalt shingled roof. And so the impact, we should think about the impact of a big roof on a main house in the district is much more significant than a pretty small utility building. And the other piece of this is that with the dulling of the roof, and I drove by as well yesterday, and with it so far back and on the property, I think it will pretty much, one will not be able to determine what the roof construction material is at that distance, and it is a utility building. Those are my
Well,
thoughts.
Stan here, the pitch of that roof is pretty low, so it's not gonna be like a 12-pitch roof that you see in a large part of it. It's gonna appear pretty negligible.
Right.
I mean, I get what Tim is saying, but from the distance from the road and the low pitch, I don't think it's gonna be a problem.
And then the third piece of that is that no one determination that we make sets any kind of precedent, that we evaluate each and every application as on its own, considering the application's impact on the district, but we don't have to worry about a decision for one building setting a precedent for another. That's something that has been really reinforced lately from the circuit riders and from SHPO. So.
Okay.
Let's see, Dan, did you want to make a comment?
I was just going to say, we appreciate this discussion, and we're certainly sensitive to the issues around historic materials, historically appropriate materials for use in the district. Here, in this case, based on the nature of the building and the distance, we felt it was appropriate to propose this. The other thing I wanted to point out, we have had quite a few issues with large and not terribly healthy trees dropping branches. So the main roof has been repaired repeatedly from large branches coming down. We've taken care of those trees to the extent we can. But it is a wear and tear issue, particularly on a lower pitch roof, that we're mindful of as well. So I just want to give you some additional context for the considerations we undertook in trying to figure out how to do this appropriately.
Another piece of our consideration is the fact that this is a new construction versus putting a roof on, replacing an existing roof with the steel. And that would be I believe that would be a wholly different conversation that we would be having. if that was the case. Are we prepared to make a determination?
I am.
Right,
I am,
all right. If we are generally in favor of this as proposed, then I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Earl, this is Earl. I move to approve as presented.
All right,
Stan will second.
thank you. So motion to approve, all in favor,
I,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed, abstaining? All right, that passed unanimously, so that one, it's been approved.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
thank you.
I will, in terms of, Kristen and Dan, in terms of getting the application, if my printer works, and that's a big capital if, with lots of question marks around it, because it's not playing well with my laptop at the moment. If I can get it to work and print out, I will, within the week, have that up with the building official.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I may, if I can, I may connect with you and see if you're able to print, and then we can get it. One way or another, we'll get it done.
Fantastic. Much appreciated all.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
All right, next of the public hearing is for Geodis 49 Old Hall Road, and their application is for their work on their driveway. So Paul, if you would explain what it is you'd like to do, provide us with some background as to if you're making any changes, what those are.
Sure. Thanks, Gail. Basically, what we currently have is somewhat of a macadam surface, if everyone is familiar with that. It was basically stages of stone that was oiled in. It's failing, and what I'd primarily like to do at this stage is to replace that with a asphalt surface, but just not add the stone on the top for a few different reasons. I know some of you are familiar with the fact that we do have an in-home business, so the driveway gets a little more traveled than if it was just, our family in and out. So in that instance, it's become a nuisance to try to clean the driveway appropriately during the winter months. It's a liability for us as my wife's customers struggle with the driveway because I just can't clean it as appropriately as I'd like to. But at this point, being that this is the second drive, and what we intend to do would be the third in a time frame of approximately 20 years or so. So the driveway at this point, from what you see at the street, is approximately 160 feet from street to where you see the garage and the hair salon. So that being said, the main focus that I have is to resurface the driveway for the reasons that I mentioned, as well as the fact that right in front of the salon and the garage stalls and so forth is what really is just turning out to be a nuisance. So at this stage, I guess I can just only emphasize that for the most part, there's not really a lot of change other than the actual the resurfacing of what we currently have. I don't think that there's going to be a huge difference in appearance for the most part. What you see is, again, just at this point, all the stone is pretty much gone. I've either snow blowed it off or it's just deteriorated. So that's the reason for needing to redo what we currently have. Other than that, I'm kind of open to questions if somebody has them regarding, what the driveway consists of. Again, we're about 160 feet from street to the dwelling, and then there's a small parking area for the salon, which really doesn't accommodate more than 2 or 3 vehicles. And for the most part, my wife has basically got one customer at a time, so it's not like there's a lot of cars there at one particular time. But and then the entrance to the 2 garage stalls and so forth. So that pretty much covers that. It's about 40 feet across the front of the building between the entrance to the salon and the 2 garage doors, and then I measured about 32 feet of parking space to the left of the salon entry. So other than that, I've got Phil Willis basically quoted to do the job, and he's aware of it. He put a base coat on this many years ago, so that's why I went there, and he's a local fellow with a great reputation. So that's where I was intending to go with it. Again, I'm open to any other questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Paul. So just to
Sure.
recap, what you have is you have an asphalt drive that had been oiled stone, that crushed stone that was oiled and what do I want to say, and tamped down over top of it. And the stone is pretty much, when I drove by and took a look, the stone's pretty disappeared. So you're down to that asphalt surface again, which is in tough shape, and you want to go ahead and re-asphalt it, but this time not apply the stone.
That would be my intent. Yes, Gail.
Okay. Commission members, questions?
So the current appearance of it is basically asphalt. And this is
It is, with the exception of all the stone that's now missing.
formerly had stone. And the new one will be asphalt again. Okay,
Correct.
sounds good.
Let's see, Stan, Tim, or Harold?
I'm
No
good.
question.
And Harold?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if they're gonna dig in and put more subsurface underneath it, or are you putting this on top?
No, unfortunately, they chose not to put it on top. They wouldn't. They weren't comfortable with going directly over this, as it may not be a good base. There is a very sufficient base beneath it, so there's not going to be a lot of excavation other than just removing what's currently there.
Sounds good.
Tim?
I'm good.
Then are there any comments from the public regarding this? Yes, Dan.
Just very briefly, in support of this application, I just want to note that 49 Old Hall, although we have a lot of beautiful homes in the district, I think very few are as well maintained as this property. So when Paul says that it's been difficult maintaining their driveway, it's no exaggeration. They clearly put a huge amount of effort into maintaining their property. So I just want to acknowledge that fact, and we appreciate that as their neighbors.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that.
Any other comments from the public? Commission members, any further questions?
No
No.
question.
Me,
I'm not sure who that was.
Harold. I said none from me.
Okay, good. All right. Then are we ready to make a determination?
Sure.
All right. Then at this point, I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So
I'll
moved.
move.
And Tim and Stan seconding. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Public hearing closed. Deliberation. Commission members, any comments you'd like to make or discussion points?
I think it's time to go.
I
All right, then.
also drove by there today and the lot is pretty level and flat. It's not as if the driveway is going uphill and the asphalt is gonna be staring you in the face more, so. Given that situation, I think it would be acceptable to do what the owner is proposing.
All right, then looking for a motion on this application.
I'll do that. I'll move it.
I'll second it, Earl.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the application as presented. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carried. And Paul, you're all set?
Thank you very much for everybody's consideration.
You're
Thank
welcome. We'll get, again, your application will be filled out and approved and then up with the building official within, I'd say, hopefully within the week.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gail.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next application is for Maureen and Larry Lane, 30 Child Hill Road, which is the headmaster's former residence, welcoming new neighbors into the district. And this application is for replacement of windows.
Correct. So as you said, we've just purchased 30 Childs Hill Road. Hopefully the photos that I send from my phone will show up, so bear with me. Here. All right. Yep. And there we go. All right. All right, so this is the front of the house, the L, and the Academy has already replaced the windows that face the street on the L. You can see this one right here has been replaced with a vinyl 6/6. And the second one that sits in the kitchen has been replaced with a vinyl 6/6. This is the main portion of the house. There are three front of the house. There are 3 windows facing the street that we'd like to replace with the same ones to match the existing ones in the L. Let's see. Okay, this is the side of the house that is on the driveway facing towards the church. They've replaced the back 2 windows. We'd like to just replace the downstairs one. The upstairs one that you can see in the photograph is actually what we believe to be most likely an original window. It's got the really small panes and really nice old glass. So it's 12/6. At some point, one of the 2 had been replaced because the mullions are slightly different between the 2, but the glass is great. So we'd like to keep that one.
See, can you stop? If you would just stop on this side, so that way it'll make it easier all around. So,
Okay.
all right. So of the 2 downstairs windows,
Let me
Which-
get.
put
Hang
your,
on.
yeah, just put
All
your,
right, I'm going to annotate. This is the window that we'd like to replace.
uh-huh.
This window and this window have already been replaced. This window is an original that we would plan on keeping.
So
Okay.
the window that you are proposing to replace is a 4/4?
2/2.
Or is it 2/2?
It's 2/2. Yeah, I would imagine that one had been put in somewhere around the turn of the century. It's not original to the house.
And you want it to match the other first floor
We'd
window?
like it to match these windows.
So 6/6.
The 6/6, yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let me clear my drawings. We'll make some football plans next. All right, hopefully, I'm not sure if some of these other pictures actually came through. That one didn't. No. All right, well, back to this front one. These two plus one other front one we would like to replace, also to be the 6/6.
Are those that you just showed
Yep.
facing, those face the road?
Those face the road, as does the ones on the L also face the road.
Okay.
So you've got 3 windows that have been replaced facing the road that are 6/6, and 3 windows that face the road that are the old 2/2 that haven't been replaced. And then I've got a couple other photos. Part of the reason that we want to replace them is, if you can see this seam along the top, they no longer sit in their frames. I mean, the house is settled over the years, the windows have warped, so they don't close correctly, which is pretty standard for windows of that age.
Yeah.
And then if you get down to, I had another one that the previous tenant, whoever it was, has taken masking tape over all of the seams of the windows, presumably to try to stop the draft from coming through. Here's some of the masking tape that we're dealing with. They're unfortunately, they're a mess. Every single window this was done to. This is another window. A couple of them, we can't even open them. So we'd like to replace them. And as they've already started with the 6/6 vinyls, we'd just like to continue doing it that way.
Could you, let's see, describe the full composition of the window, one of the 6/6s that's replaced it? I assume that as it's a modern window, then it's an interior plus a storm.
They would be Walcott replacement double hung windows. We had sent the spec sheets for the windows with our application.
Yep.
I don't have it online to screen share it with you.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, what it is Larry, this is Larry Lane. What it is Matthew Brothers, and to go with a period style window, this is the window that they use. It's the 6/6 vinyl replacement windows. So all we're doing is popping the old sashes out and inserting these new windows into the old sash. We're not taking out the old sashes and dealing with the outside trim on the house and all of that. It's just the window itself.
But we
Right.
would be replacing the aluminum storms that
Yeah.
are on the old ones.
Yeah, somebody put the aluminum storms over, trying to help like they always did in the, in previous years. The windows that are in the house, like my wife said, they're not original windows anyway. They were replaced, I would say, in the 40s with the 2/2, and they're getting punky and they're not closing, and the panes are rattling around, and the sash to the casing there's nothing much left to it.
Do the windows that you're proposing for replacement have aluminum storms on them?
No, they
No.
do not. We would be taking those off, so it'd be more period for the house.
So it's going to be a double, it's going to be the double paned.
That is correct.
All right. So they will be just the windows, double paned insulated windows without exterior storms.
That is correct.
Okay.
Do they have a screen?
And the commission members, the replacements were approved for those windows that have already been replaced were approved for this house when the academy brought that application before us. Let's see, I'm looking to see if I wrote the date down, and I did not, but it was about, I believe it was about 6 years ago.
Okay, so they were approved by the commission.
Yes.
At the time the academy did the change.
Yep.
Okay.
And so let's see, those that you're proposing are exact matches for the
The
newer-
existing windows.
the existing newly
Correct.
replaced.
Yes,
They would,
the ones that you see right now,
Right.
Yeah.
they would match those.
they'll match that. And that.
Good. All right, questions, commission members?
So, yeah, it looks like almost all the windows will then be 6/6 with the exception of the one old window up on the upstairs.
There's actually 2 old windows upstairs.
That
Yeah.
will be 6/6, okay. But the majority will now be 6/6.
Exactly,
That
yes.
is correct.
Well, they'll all be 6/6, right?
No, there'll be
Except that
two.
Some of them are older.
No, there'll be two, one of the older ones is a 12/.
Right, 12/8, I think.
That is correct. Yes, 12/8 would be, I would say, towards the original window of the house.
And that one's not leaking or letting air in, so you're gonna leave it.
Well, I have to rebuild it, but it has the old distorted glass and everything.
Okay,
And that's why I'm trying to save those.
Yep.
To go more historical period towards that house, I want to try to save those sashes. So I'm gonna be bringing them in my shop and repairing them.
okay.
Harold or Tim?
No questions on my part.
No questions on my part.
All right,
Me either.
then we're looking for any public comment in support of this project. Don't see any public comment in opposition to this project. All right. Any final questions during this portion of the public hearing, commission members? Are we ready to make a determination?
Yes.
All right, then I'm looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Tim and Harold, any
Harold.
further discussion? If not, all in favor of closing the public hearing at this time?
I
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Okay, public hearing is closed. Commission members, comments?
think the project is gonna improve the looks. I'm in favor of it.
I agree.
I do too, and the fact that it's been
Unanimous.
approved.
All right, then, looking for a motion.
Earl, I move to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Comment
Not
that-
me.
I'll comment that it's nice to see the house taken over by people who are going to give it some love and attention,
Really
It
is.
needed it.
Right.
and who also appreciate a good old 12/8 window. Let's see. All right, motion on the floor to approve the project, approve the application as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carried. So you're all set. Good luck with the project. I will, again, as I've been telling everybody, if I can reach some kind of detente with my printer, I will get your application printed and signed and up to the building official as soon as I can.
Okay.
Very
thank you
good.
Very much.
Thank you for your help.
Have a nice
Thank you.
evening.
Goodbye.
Thanks, and thanks for taking care of another one of our old houses.
Thank you.
All right, final application before us is for Lassard. Larry, let's see, and they are 528 Route 169. And this is are they there? Yes, they are. Oh, Chase, there you are. You became a person instead of a name, just a name.
Yep.
And so this is for stairs and for the, I guess skirt was about the best I could come up with for the porch.
Yeah, that's the best I could come up with too. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is just a drawing of the front porch. It's about 5 feet deep in the front, and then on the right side, looking at the house, it's about 17 feet deep with the front door sitting at the end of it, which you can see. Currently, there's 4 posts. Well, there are 4 posts in the front and 1 on the right. And the stairs that are there, they're just small, probably 4-foot wide stairs, and they actually sit in between these 2 posts that are on the bottom right-hand corner of the porch. They're definitely not original. They're just stringers that were bought at Lowe's with 2x put on top. So part of the proposal is to actually expand these steps to make them fit in between the 2 posts that are there, and then use those posts that are existing to have railings that will come down. So the existing steps, there's an awkward 4th steps on there that come out. They're probably about 3 feet off the house. With this kind of fitting in there to get rid of the awkwardness, there will only be about 3 steps, and they'll come out roughly 30 inches, give or take a couple inches. And that, again, they'll be positioned on the right there. And then for, like we said, the skirt of the house, this is kind of an idea of what it is. And then I have another drawing here on the left that I'll show. Just wrapping around. So in between each post, we'll have the top 10 by piece here that will come down, and it will also be on the sides. And then there'll be smaller pieces in the middle with gaps in between those pieces to allow some breathing between it. So this will run around the entire deck. And then here's the detailed drawing. So the top piece will be the same width as the sides here. And then in the middle, there'll be a 3.5 wide piece on top and a 3.5 on the bottom. And then the same size in the middle there that will equally be spread apart. And then again, I know I had mentioned this last time, but this will all be made of wood. Everything, there won't be any plastic or anything like that.
And that includes steps will also be wood.
That's correct. Everything will be wood. There won't be any metal or plastic. The railings, obviously for the porch, we're going to keep the existing. Those will continue to be wood.
Will the sides of this, what will you do with the sides of the steps?
The sides of the steps, actually, you can't see it in this image, but this design, it will kind of taper down on the side of the steps. So it will continue to the design on both sides.
And then just to remind commission members that the current skirt, for lack of a better word, is deteriorated lattice.
Yeah, it's almost, it doesn't even look like store-bought either. It's kind of like a, I don't know when it was put in, but it's more of like a handmade lattice. So it's completely, all the nails that are there or staples have rusted and fallen apart. And then again, the steps that are there, they were probably put in the 80s or 90s maybe. And they're kind of wobbly. They're not really safe either too, so.
It'll improve the safety as well as appearance.
And are you going to have a handrail?
On the steps?
On the steps.
Yes, there'll be a handrail there. What the plan for that is, the railings that are existing on the porch, I'm gonna try to, I have some just from extra, but I'm gonna try to get more made to continue that design going down the railing. And then there was actually, I don't believe it was original, but there was a small post that they had made to almost mimic the other posts. It's just a halfway one where actually the old metal railing went to. And I'm gonna try to incorporate that as well for the bottom rail post on both sides.
Question, commission members, questions?
Do you have a picture of the rail on the porch or?
Unfortunately, I do not have a photo. I could take one, but I don't have one. It's actually off right now because they were in rough shape. They had probably 10 layers of paint on them, so we took it all off to fix them and repaint them.
Oh, okay.
And that the railing that's on the porch, that's you're talking about an existing railing that runs runs all around the porch?
That's correct. Yeah, there's an existing railing. It's the same throughout. It has a top and a bottom, and it has the spindles in between. They were in rough shape, so they're not currently on there, but they'll be back up there soon, hopefully, once I have them painted and fixed. So.
How wide will the new steps be?
The new steps, they'll be, share this again, they'll be 9 feet. So they'll be the exact distance in between the posts here. So the front is roughly 30. In between each of the 4 posts is about 9 feet with a little on the left and a little on the right there. So it will sit in between that. It'll be 9 feet wide. And this, I don't believe how you're viewing it is exactly to scale. This is, if you were to print this off, it would be to scale. I think it's just a hair off on the computer screen,
But basically, the proposal is to replace the 4 existing rough steps with 3 finished wider 9-foot wide steps. And then to replace the rough lattice skirt with that new design for a skirt that will continue down the sides of the steps as well.
that's correct.
And that the not part of the proposal is the railing, which you are merely repairing and restoring, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And that you will then replicate the profile of the railing and the spindles on the railings for railing on the porch. I mean, on the step.
That's correct. Actually, I'm going to try to pull up a photo now of the spindle of the railings if you'd like to see them.
Sure, that would be great.
Okay, just give me one moment. All right, let me just pull that up. Okay, let me just share. So these are the actual, I don't know if they're original, but they're definitely old to say the least.
Wow.
But the spindles here and the railings, I'm gonna try to copy those as best I can. Have somebody do that for me that can turn wood and have those actually come down the side of the steps.
Okay.
Excellent, excellent. Are there currently railings on the existing steps?
There was these metal railings on there, but they had actually the bolts and the nails that were holding it in rusted away. So one of them had actually fallen off on its own, and the other one was falling away too.
And you're proposing 2 railings or just one?
So they'll be on both sides of the steps.
Okay. It's great that you have pulled them off and are cleaning them up and repairing them.
Yeah, that was a winter project to say the least.
Yeah, it's not a weekender.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail on those, which is great. We wanted to keep that.
Right. Questions, commission members?
No, not me.
None from me.
None for me.
I don't
Okay,
have any.
all right. Then any public comment in support of the project? Don't hear any. Public comment in opposition to the project?
Is there any public out there?
There are, yes, there are 3 members of the public still here.
Oh, okay.
They're just
I
mute.
can't see them.
There are 3 members of the public. All right, commissioner members, any last questions for Chase?
Not me.
No.
No,
Are we ready to make a determination?
yes.
All right, then I'll
Yes.
take a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second
I'll
it.
second.
Tim and Harold, for discussion. If not, then all in favor of closing the public hearing? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? No, public hearing closed. All right, commission members. Comments?
Looks like a good plan. I like how he's using wood and it's gonna copy the old railings. So I'm happy with it.
I agree. I think it's great. We're gonna try and make those railings and, finishing the original ones looked like they had so much paint on them. Can't imagine the amount of work.
It was a lot.
It's impressive to seeing that kind of commitment.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll
And
move.
here, I like the design of the skirt. I think
Yeah.
it's classy and matches with the age of the neighborhood, and I applaud him for coming up with a good design.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Stan. It's an appropriate design, and I like, and the fact that there's it allows for ventilation, so that's going to improve the life of the porch and the whole construction as well. Good. All right, let's see. If there isn't any further discussion, then I'm looking for a motion to approve.
I'll move.
I'll make a motion. All right.
Earl and Tim second.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion? If not,
No.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carried. Thanks, Chase.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
And again, I'll get the, when my printer works, I will, I'll get the application signed, printed, signed, and sent up to the building official. We'll look for a ribbon cutting ceremony sometime, over the summer months when we
Yes.
when it's safer to do so.
Yes.
And good luck with all the railings and all, but it's impressive to see that kind of commitment to doing the work that's necessary to take care of these great old houses. So
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank
we appreciate that, and we welcome you to the neighborhood.
you. Thank
And
you.
and I have a question. You commute all the way up to Springfield?
Sorry. No, actually, I work in Putnam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
All right, everybody. That
Mhm.
concludes our public hearings for tonight. Let's see if I can get back to our original agenda. So thank you. I think 4 is a lot for us to handle, but thanks everybody for the hard work of getting through those 4. Let's see, minutes. if you've had a chance, next up on the agenda is approval of the minutes. If you've had a chance to look through them, thank you again, Earl, for taking them. Looking for a motion to approve the March 24th minutes.
I'll approve. So move.
Thank you, Stan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carried, minutes approved. Correspondence. Correspondence with both of the circuit riders. Correspondence with Jean and Jack McClellan concerning concerns for the concerns for the work of the district, of the commission, and also about 599 Route 169. And then obviously correspondence with all of the applicants in preparation for their public hearings. Is there any, the next on the agenda is public comment. There's an opportunity for anyone who wishes, member of the public, to comment. I think you should, since I can't see any hands raised and everybody's hidden, if you do wish to make a comment, I think the easiest way is just unmute yourself. And seeing nothing, then next is project consultations. I don't have any that I'm aware of. Old business, 494 Route 169, the Orchards demolition, which is, as you know, both circuit riders, Brad Scheid and Mike Farino, came up and met Stan and I at the house, along with Doug and Eric Young. And then Stan accompanied them with Doug and Eric for a walkthrough of the house. So Stan, would you want to give a quick summary of that portion of it?
Well, it's in pretty bad shape, in my estimation. Take a lot of effort and money to bring it up to a modern house's efficiency and whatnot. So they have kind of a white elephant on their hands there.
I would assume that it would have to meet code inside.
Yeah, and the layout of it doesn't lend itself to what we think of as, a nice kitchen and all that kind of thing. So there had to be some structural work to maybe remove a wall or something like that.
But so the circuit riders, with the circuit riders, you went through all parts of the building?
Yeah, we went down in the cellar and then upstairs too.
Did the
So-
circuit rider have any guidance or comments?
So that was what I was getting to next, is basically it is in our hands to make the decision ultimately and as to whether or not it's appropriate to demolish the house. The way this would work is that if and when they actually put in an application to the building official for demolition, then there is as much as a 90-day stay while it's investigated, and then they can, but that can be shortened to any amount of time. The circuit riders weren't able to adequately assess how much would be involved in bringing it up to code, and to make it what one would consider an appropriately modern livable house. They said, well, their comment was kind of like, well, it seems okay. They really didn't have what's the best way to put it? The expertise to be able to, they didn't feel comfortable to say giving an estimate of whether it would be a very expensive or not project. They couldn't do that kind of evaluation. They advised very strongly that we follow the procedure that we are following for a demolition, for a public hearing about a demolition, and that is where the Youngs are right now, which is putting together all the facts and figures about what would be involved in bringing that house, making that house livable / useful in one of any capacity. They did suggest that an option would be the Youngs could sell it. It could be moved, and it could be moved away, which is an option. And the Youngs had indicated that, well, if somebody wanted to give them some money and move it away, they'd be open to that.
Gail,
but-
did they make any comment about the house's historical significance, if any?
No, they, it is potentially a Sears Roebuck house, but there are literally thousands of remaining Sears Roebuck houses, if it is one. It certainly matches or is very similar to some plans I have seen of a Sears Roebuck house, but it's purported to be, so it's hard to know. And their only comment was that it is part of the diversity in terms of architecture and dates that is Woodstock. When we talked after the fact, they acknowledged that over the course of Woodstock's European settled history, that houses come and go, and that most of the houses that existed, well, all the houses that existed when the town was settled in 1686 no longer exist. In fact, all but one or two of the houses that were built in the 1700s are gone within the district. So that change is a part of a living historic district. But they pretty much dropped it firmly in our lap.
The impression I got.
Yep. And
Change can go both ways, though. Keeping it and just having it destroyed.
Yeah,
It's part of the evolution.
Yep. Then there's also, yes, but then that is part of the evolution. I mean, we have in this district had a barn is, within the past 5 years, a barn was taken down.
Right.
That's the ideal would be if someone wanted the house and took it away. It is impractical to there could never be a standalone house lot owned by a private owner on that spot, on that location. So that's an issue. But it could be moved, and houses have been moved on the hill in the past.
Team up the oxen.
Yep, team up the oxen and pull it down. Yes. But they basically said that what we need is to, pay attention to the steps, require the applicants to go through the steps, and as that we can make whatever decision we come to, as long as we have, and that will be supported by them, by the state, as long as we have done our due diligence and have the, the evidence to back up the decision that we make. So there was not a hard press for us to try and save it. And nor was there a, well, just, yeah, go ahead and take it down. I don't think that wasn't the impression I got, was it, Stan?
I think their overarching thing is, in a perfect world, it'd be nice to keep it, but there's mitigating circumstances, and that at that point they left it in our laps.
They did agree that there was a tremendous amount of work would need to be done for that house to be viable.
Well, the economic reality of it is that if we deny them permission to take it down and nobody buys it, they're not going to put any money into it, and it'll eventually fall down on its own.
And it'll become a hazard, and then there will be demolition by neglect, which is not good.
What are the standards for making a determination?
The owners need to prove that keeping it, maintaining it, bringing it up to code is financially impossible for them. They need to provide information about all the work that would need to be done. So they need to document all the work that would need to be done to bring it up to code and make it usable again. Then they also need to have shown that they've explored other avenues for it, such as, is there somebody out there who would like that house and want to move it someplace and build it someplace, take it and move it and establish it someplace else. So they have to go through all the options.
Okay.
And prove and show that for them, none of those are viable.
And they're preparing that presentation now?
They're working on it. Yep. Yeah. When Stan and I met them, they were waiting on hearing from contractors. So they'd gone through all the work of connecting with contractors, but they were waiting to get some of those appointments and then to get all the information back from the contractors. So at this point, they have not submitted another application.
They will submit that to us at some point.
At some point, yep. And what they're doing is going to us first, because if they applied to the building official for permission to demolish, then it would then default to us anyway.
Okay.
Could you put an ad in the Hartford Current, house for sale?
Put an ad, they could put an ad anywhere. I said, that's part of what they can do, they should do is, if in fact is explore. And if they haven't, by the time the application's in again and they've talked to the building official, then as part of that 90-day delay, that's what will happen, is that there will be ads put in to try and find a home for it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm not sure how realistic that is, but you never know. And I don't know if they would feel that they need a certain amount of money, or if they would, sell the house for $100 or $1, and as long as the purchaser was willing to put all the money into moving it.
And taking power lines down.
Well, no, they could also just dismantle it and then put it back together someplace else.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
That's what happens with old barns.
Yeah.
The barns don't get moved down the road. Mostly they just get dismantled and trailered to wherever their new location is. So anyway, at this point, they're doing their work. The Youngs are doing their work, and eventually it will come back before us.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there any other old business?
Not that I know of.
New business? The only thing I have is, Tim, is this your last meeting?
No, I'll be here next month.
That's good. Just checking. Does anybody have any new business?
As far as old business, weren't we gonna address 599 again?
Mm-hmm, yep. Yes. I drove by there and I will add that they've put out a tent sign now. I don't mean a tent, but one of those A-frame signs out on the Child Hill Road driveway. I know it's movable. So, and then they've also added a tin cutout of a horse and buggy onto the top of the sign that we did approve. They have, however, taken down one of the big gas station signs off the barn. They removed the 76 sign. And so.
Seems like there's more junk than ever leaning up against the barn now.
Yes, now the circuit riders went up there. And they felt that we had, even though we had put in as a stipulation, well, we had asked them about all the junk that they had when they were down in South Woodstock, and said that was a concern, and the Beausoleils had at the time of their public hearing reassured us that they wouldn't be putting all that junk all over the place. And in fact, we have that recorded as part of their as part of the proceedings. Yeah, as part of the proceedings, and the determination there is that we have it on record that they said that circuit riders felt that it would be construed as temporary, like decorations, that it comes and goes and it's part of their business, and it would be very difficult for us to press complete removal, a request to completely remove all of those things. And that it potentially could be lumped in with the same as Christmas decorations that people keep up for 2 months and that kind of thing.
I haven't seen any attempt to start putting in screening plantings or anything.
No, I haven't seen none of that.
Any response from the church about their screening plantings?
It's the Academy. And the Academy said that and I have not connected with the Academy.
Also, speaking of screening plantings, that we approved that fence near the garage. And I think all those plantings had died, and so you see nothing except the big white fence now.
Okay.
That was a stipulation.
Yep, that was plenty. Although it's early, and some of those are grasses and things that I think he had 3 or 4 clumps of grasses, and those usually you cut those down short, and then those fountain grass things come up. But we'll check on that.
I remember last summer it was pretty sparse though.
Yeah. And next to Rondo's. The other thing that was the other piece, I guess, that we were looking into, that I was looking into, was the existence of a trailer between 49 Old Hall and the next house up towards 169, when you look through the woods, there's a trailer park there, a medium-sized travel trailer that now has decking all around it and other strings of lights and all. And my understanding, I think we talked about it at the last meeting, my understanding is that it's become it's a place where a pool is set up, a big above ground pool is put in during the summer months. And so it's a place for having a partying. It belongs to the landowner who also owns a house on 169, but does not live in the house. So the house on 169 is a rental, and this is part of the property. And so he's parked the trailer there. So I referred that, I touched base with Tina LaJoy about the zoning
Good.
official about that from your recommendation, Tim. And so she said she would follow up on it, but I have not heard back from her on where that stands. So that was good advice, and they're looking into it.
Okay.
And then the only other thing I noticed in driving around was that also the house, I believe it's the house next to 49. It's like someone's stacking some irregular stones kind of roughly as a boundary around some trees. They're making a little planting area or something, but I think in this case, my assessment was if it's just people trying to corral their yard with some, and stones they're not big.
Mhm.
So it's more of a temporary attempt to kind of corral the leaves off the lawn, probably. Anything else?
Not I.
All right. Would any of you be amenable to paying a visit to 599 Route 169 in an official capacity?
For what purpose?
Well, if as my plan is, as we've discussed, is to send a formal letter now. A registered letter that they have to sign for. So we'll know it's been received. There should probably be a follow-up, and so that somebody would go with that letter that it describes what outstanding issues they have. We want to keep this as neighborly as possible, but which is why, to my thinking of, in person is better than simply just a letter, especially when you have folks who appear to have a little difficulty quite grasping the specifics of living in a historic district. But I'm open to suggestion.
Well, what are the issues if we can't rule on the junk? There'd be the gates and the screening
and the
plantings.
The plantings and the porch and ramp.
Boy. Yeah, I'm not good with confrontations, but
okay.
If I have a partner, I'd do it. Patrick would be pretty good at that.
Well, maybe then I'll send the letter and see if they'll sign for it. And see if I'll put it, what do you think? Maybe put a deadline, ask them to have submitted their new application by May 15th or so that we know we can plan the public hearing.
Yeah, let's see how that flies.
All right.
I wouldn't mind going with Stan if he,
Okay.
but I would send the letter first and see what
Oh.
kind of response.
Absolutely. The hope is that they say, yep, sorry, it's just been crazy. Here's our application, and we can go from there. That would be the ideal. But thanks for volunteering. Okay, public hearing. Great. Anything else? No?
Don't think so.
That's it.
All right, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
So
I'll
move.
move.
That's Harold.
Harold and Stan.
Other than, okay.
Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. Hope
Thank
you had a
you.
chance to enjoy this lovely day. Thanks for spending an evening with public hearings.
Meeting
Have a-
is
So long, everybody.